Anchors up, sells at full. Welcome to this Loopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. Doing all right, given what we just saw here. But more importantly, how are you doing, Jared?
I have I have one complaint. New tradition, good tradition. Mm-hmm. See, we got a good crack on that. Everything's going to be all right. Listen, everything's going to be all right. What do we say to the god of death? We say not today.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2024 college football. We have a 12-team playoff. All we got to do is win the Big Ten. Everything's going to be fine. C-Spike says, doing pretty awful, Kyle. Everything's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. Listen, we told you, and Oregon had a rough start to the season, and that made us a little too confident on Thursday. Made us a little too confident when we did the Know Your Enemy show. Acknowledged. Made us a little too confident. That being said, if you go back and you listen to our preseason episodes, we told you Ohio State's likely to drop this game against Oregon. That's back when we thought, we thought Oregon was going to be an elite football team. Then they struggled against Idaho. They struggled against Boise. Maybe they are not that good. Then the offensive line and Dylan Gabriel, they started to figure things out. And they started to become the Oregon that we knew that they could be at the beginning of the season. And now they're playing at that elite level again. This is the Oregon team, not who we thought they were in September, but the Oregon team who we thought they were in August. And back in August, we told you, Ohio State's likely to lose this game against Oregon, traveling all the way across the country against a team that is just as good as you are, and playing in their stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they were a top 5 team, top 3 team here. Ohio State comes in. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a match of 2 top teams going at it. It came down to the wire, 1 point. It was a 1-point game between these 2 title
top
contenders,
5.
like title contenders. It was these 2 teams in Texas were the teams that we had in our. We believe that they sit above the rest, and they showed it. Both teams showed it this tonight here, as we are just trying to wrap our brains around what we just saw here. Lots of improvement that Ohio State obviously can do, especially on the defensive side there. But a lot of things you can take from this too, more on the offensive side. Will Howard, everybody's going to talk about that last play that he did where
that wasn't great.
Took that 1 extra second to try to get some extra yards there. But other than that, he had a fantastic game. 80% completion, over 300 yards passing. What was in my mind? It's not the offense is not the issue here. The defense needs work. The secondary got worked on. They got worked on all game here, and it's Knowles has to figure it out. How can this defense get better rush, get better pressure on the quarterback, and these defensive backs to play better, play up to their talent. These are elite corners and safeties.
Yeah.
And they got torched.
Burnt.
They got torched here.
Yeah. Listen, Denzel Burke's an amazing cornerback. He had a really bad night. It happens. If you're an amazing corner and you say, yeah, put me up against their number 1 guy and put me on that island with him, sometimes it doesn't end well. And tonight it did not end well for Denzel Burke.
Yep.
Is what it is. He's an amazing football player. He has done amazing things for Ohio State. He will continue to do amazing things for Ohio State. And to sort of played like he had the flu. Not sure what that means. But I think an important takeaway as well is we also told you, if you listen to like our Ohio State previews at the beginning of the season, we looked at this October slate, which was Iowa, Oregon, and Nebraska, and we said Ohio State's probably going to lose one of those games. Ohio State's probably going to lose one of those games.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the one.
And honestly, like, I believe like what we said here is that, yeah, we think that Ohio State, if they were going to lose one game, it was going to be this Oregon game here. But in the grand scheme of things, does this really matter?
No.
You not really. If Ohio State wins out, they go on to the Big Ten championship game. And another a rematch of what's looking like Ohio State and Oregon here. Yeah, I mean, you
this time in the Eastern time zone.
You run the tables. You run the tables here.
Listen, y'all. Indiana is in the Eastern time zone. Come get it, Oregon. Preseason, who would have thought we would be praising the O-line and bashing the secondary? DC Buckeye. I don't know if I know you or not. You must be a new face here. That's a very good point. I thought the offensive line played excellently tonight, especially without Josh Simmons. Aside from a false start from Zen Mikowski, which was even kind of nitpicky in my opinion. He had a great game. I don't like losing. I know. Yeah. I mean, of course, who doesn't want to, run the table and win it all and win every single game by 40 points? Who doesn't want that? And like Ohio State's going to fall in the rankings. The AP is going to drop them a couple spots. I don't care. And I hear someone saying, what? No, you can't say this game doesn't mean anything. And if Ohio State wins out, then they won't necessarily go to Indianapolis because now they've lost a game in the Big Ten and there are other teams who are undefeated. It'll work out. If Ohio State runs the slate, they will be second at worst in the Big Ten. I know exactly. Illinois is undefeated in the Big Ten. I know Illinois is undefeated in the Big Ten, right? Their one loss was out of conference or anyway. Indiana's undefeated in the Big Ten and Penn State's undefeated in the Big Ten. And we don't even play Penn State this year. I'm not worried about it. We'll make it to the Big Ten title game.
I know, a lot to talk about here.
But now we're down a Mario Man and a tackle. Listen, the old Sloopcast rule of you only get one Mario Man doesn't apply to the 12-team playoff anymore. We've not had to retire too many Sloopcast rules over the years. That's one we can pretty easily retire. If you're a Big Ten or SEC team, you have more than one Mario Man.
Yeah. Yep.
We do need to get to the report card.
Yep. Let's go ahead and get to the report card here, Jared.
All right. Now, I'm going to throw this out there because I know I'm going to give some grades that are more positive than people are going to want to hear on a post-game show right after a loss. So I'm just going to do a blanket defense of some of my positive sounding grades. Just off the top here. This report card is going to be way more positive than a lot of you are going to want to see it. And I know how Buckeye fans are after a loss. You want blood.
Do.
And you want me to fill this up with F's. Playing the number three team in the country on the opposite coast in their stadium, lost by 1 point. If you're coming here looking for doom and gloom and for blood, this isn't going to be your show. Spike says F-.
All right, let's jump into it here. All right.
Offensive game plan.
Offensive game plan. I don't think it was terrible. I know there was a few questionable plays there, but I think overall, I don't think it was that bad offensively here. Almost 500 yards total, 467 to be precise.
I have no problem whatsoever with the game plan.
326 in the air and 141 on the ground. Travion rushed for 8.7. They really contained Judkins. This is the first time that we've really seen Judkins like really contained all year. I was waiting for him to get that one breakout rush there. Nope, never happened here. I was a little surprised about the rushing. I thought Ohio State would have rushed a little bit more here, but
I think that's a valid point.
I would say like a B plus. I was overall pleased. I was overall pleased with the game plan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an A minus only because I feel like it should have been a little bit more run focused. Personally, I think we were doing better when we were running the ball. That being said, Howard had a great day. So it's not like passing the ball too much was some sort of huge failure, but just maybe it's a personal preference thing.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right. Game management.
Okay. Game management.
All right. All right, guys.
There's going to be some knocks here.
There is going to be some knocks. Now, the end of the game there, that's on Ryan Day. That's on Ryan Day. He's got to know it's an offensive penalty. That clock's going to keep ticking there.
In Ryan Day's defense, it's a stupid rule.
It is.
The play. The play ended in bounds on a catch. No, the play never happened. But whatever.
But it's still offensive. Yeah. So I got other than that one, offensively. Other than that, I thought they were fine. So, but I mean, that last drive has got to knock it down so much because that was the game.
Sure,
that was the game. Right
absolutely.
There. So, I gotta mark that down to a D. Like that was the difference maker. Everything else, I thought it was fine from a game management, but yeah, I gotta say D. I gotta say D for game management because that was on the line. And if you were able to run that ball sooner, we may be singing a different tune here where Will Howard had more time, set up a field goal, and Ohio State had a chance to kick the winning field goal there. We'd be singing a different tune possibly. But D.
I don't know. Like I know the quarterback is essentially a coach on the field. So running that ball was just such a poor decision on Howard's part, and I'm going to incorporate that into my grade.
It was Z Spike says it was Georgia all over again.
I don't know if that's accurate. We only needed a field goal, and like the freshman pushed off a little too obviously, and if not for that,
yeah,
we get the field goal.
Passing. Well, Howard is excellent. I mean, yeah. I gotta give the passing an A. Like Howard was really good. 80% completion. He was up to like 86% at one point of the drive there. That last drive, he was on target. If I can try to pull up the plays there, like he was on target that last drive there. I was really, really impressed with how Howard and how well he was throwing the ball with accuracy. Yeah, a couple of bad throws, but every quarterback's going to have that. Overall, zero turnovers by Howard, which was a concern because he was starting to get a little, starting to throw a little bit more interceptions that we would like to the past few games. Yeah, very impressed. A.
Cac. I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce your name Cac if that's. We don't pronounce anything right here at the Sloopcast if you're new here. So apologies if that's not how you want me to pronounce that. That was a BS offensive PI. How can you say he pushed off too obvious? Because he did push off. He got at the top of the route,
the elbow,
and he pushed, and then that is technically a penalty. By the letter of the law, that is a penalty. Now you could say, and I wouldn't blame you for saying this, you could say, but that happens all the time and it's never called. And that shouldn't be called in that situation. Okay. I mean, that's fair. But By the letter of the law, that is in fact a penalty. Unfortunately.
Yep. That's fine. What do you give?
Joe Cotton says we should have went for 2 after the touchdown.
Don't chase points that I don't think so.
I'm not one for chasing points until it's absolutely necessary. Big Ten refs are in discussion every single game this year. I mean, there's always going to be something. Passing, yep. I'm good with an A.
All right. Rushing here. I felt like when they ran the ball, I thought they had success, especially with Henderson. Trevion did really well on the ground there. I would say B. I would say a solid B on the running there. They were up to, I think it was like 5-7 up until the last couple of drives, and that went down a little bit. But
chat, we also want your input. Keep talking, Kyle. No, I was just telling chat we have some new names in here. We want your input on what you think the grade should be for running, specifically running. I have no problem with the running offense this game. I feel perfectly happy leaving it at an A.
Okay.
Spike says
fine.
B.
Yeah, Spike says B there. That's fine. Let's see here. Receiving. I don't really recall a drop. And I think when we were watching the game, we had live reaction of the game over at discord.thesloopcast.com. We were watching the game together. Well, we were communicating together in our Discord.
We were chatting,
and a lot of people were saying that, oh, Jeremiah should have caught that. That ball was tipped. I think it was in the fourth quarter. That ball was tipped, and he wouldn't have been able to catch that. It was off of his fingertips anyway, too. I didn't really recall any drop passes. There might have been one in there, but I don't really recall any critical ones that the receivers had. So I say like an A minus. I think an A minus would suffice.
I think it's I one of the issues I'm going to have with receiving is the fact that the
defense
is the fact. Yeah, we'll get to the defense. Is the fact that a wide receiver cost, I don't want to say cost us the game. That's way too dramatic to say, but the offensive pass interference ultimately led to the loss. And I think that has to be factored in. I don't think it should be a huge factor, but it should be factored in.
But he also was the reason for them to get that close to kicking the field goal too.
I know.
So
all right. I mean, I gave him an A minus. I didn't roast him.
Yep, we got A minuses in the chat as well there.
All right.
Run blocking. I thought it was fine. There's definitely moments taking consideration with the injuries. I
think that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I would say B. I would say B as well. I thought the run blocking, if I can talk, was fine. It definitely could be better, but I thought it was fine. So I would say a B.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go a bit higher than that. And I will say that the run blocking was better in the first half than it was in the second half. But like when we lost Josh Simmons, I kind of thought everything was going to fall apart, and I was pretty happy that it didn't. So shout out to Zen Mikowski for coming in, doing good. Kyle, did you say B on that?
I did. Yes. Yep.
I'm gonna go B plus personally.
All right. That's fine. I see B minus, C. So, okay. All right. Pass blocking. Only one sack, and honestly, that wasn't on the offensive lineman. Will Howard just tripped and lost his balance there. I thought overall they did fine. They gave him time. So I would grade that a little bit higher. I would say like a B plus, A minus for the pass blocking.
I'll say he did have to do a lot of dodging, especially when the game was on the line. when the game was on the line, I felt like he had to do a lot of pocket maneuvering. I think the lack of sacks should at least be credited partially to Howard and not necessarily the offensive line. And I'm not completely knocking the offensive line. I thought they had a good game. I think a B+ is sufficient.
We got a B+ in there as well.
Chat says B+.
Right.
What did you say, Kyle?
Yep, I have B+ as well. All right, and third downs, Ohio State was 4 for 12. They were 1 for 7 before the last 2 or 3 drives there. They were bad. They were bad on third downs there. So, yeah, it's got to be like a C- for me. C-, and only brought up just because of those last couple of drives where they were able to convert those third downs. It was really bad third down conversions.
I think you're being generous. I'm going to go like a D.
I probably am. I probably am.
I got an F. I got a D+ from Bird Brain. I got an F. I'll meet y'all halfway and do a D-.
All
right. All right, Kyle. Let's do a quick self promo. We are the Buckeye Sloopcast. We're streaming here on on Bleacher Report. We're streaming here on Bleacher Report. If you don't know us, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.thesloopcast.com. You can join our Discord server at discord.thesloopcast.com. We have a pair of merch stores. You can see some of that up on the screen. And if you're just looking for our links in general, you can just go to thesloopcast.com and find all of our other links and come hang out with us if you like what you see here today. What about all the false starts on the O-line? Ooh, Jake Armstrong, that's a good point.
That is, yeah.
I don't necessarily that's a good point. It doesn't necessarily fall into run blocking or pass blocking. If you look under the team section of our report card, there's a discipline section that will address that in. But good input. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Let's start with the defense. Game plan. I'll let you tackle this one because I may be really harsh here. I want to hear your side first.
Defensive game plan.
Yep.
Not great. The choice to leave Burke on an island wasn't great. I feel like, listen, we all talk about how great Knowles is at coming in and fixing things in the second half, but at the same time, like, why don't we show up to games with good game plans? I'm gonna go like C- here, and I feel like I might even be generous with that.
I gotta go with an F.
Okay.
I'm going with an F here. Like, you have elite corners, you have elite safeties, and they seem like they had no idea what they were doing. They seem like that this was their first game of the year, which some may say that for the offenses Ohio State has played so far this year. But like putting a lot of these corners in the island by themselves, when you see that they're struggling, they need help. Like, understand as you're watching the game here, you saw that I think the game plan was to contain Gabriel, making sure that he doesn't get out of the pocket and make long runs. Did get that one touchdown, long touchdown run, but they really tried to contain him, and that really backfired on them. Gave Gabriel too much time to throw, and put the corners on an island when they were just having an awful day. One of the worst games as a Buckeye for each of them. For Iggy, for Burke, both of them had really bad games.
Bird Brain in the chat says, relying too much on front four for pressure, not being able to defend the pass with linebackers and coverage. Bird Brain, we haven't got to, first off, underestimating yourself with that username, because that's actually very accurate. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just totally agree with you. The front four is not getting enough pressure. And if you listen to our pregame show or watched any Oregon games after the first two, you saw how good their offensive line is. They have an elite offensive line, top 5 offensive line in the country. Knowles was way too confident that the front four was going to apply pressure when it wasn't applying pressure. And now that I say that out loud, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop this down to a D+, because I think that's an important factor. Game management.
No changes. Like we praised Ohio State both offensive and defensively of their changes, their improvements that they do to the second half. I think there was just a crazy stat out there. Like Ohio State before this game was like scored over 80 points and let up like only 7 points in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We all thought it was going to be like going to have something like that. The defense was going to come out. It's going to change. They're going to be able to contain Oregon more. Never happened. Never happened here. So from a game management point, I got to get enough as well. I got to give enough. Almost 500 yards, just shy of 500 yards you let up here. You're not going to win many games like that.
Yeah. They needed to start sending blitzes straight up. The front four was not getting sufficient pressure. And I know that it's hard to, let me acknowledge something real quick. It's hard to say, hey, stop putting your cornerbacks on an island 1-on-1, and then turn around and say, hey, you need to blitz more often. I understand that those are two contrasting points of view. I get that. And I understand that, like, you have to mix that up a bit. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But they did the blitz, didn't get home either. Well, they didn't do the blitz often enough, or there could have been more creative ways of blitzing. I don't feel like they blitzed all that often. And when they did, it wasn't necessarily like inspiring blitzes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So F-Sol around there. Run stop. 155 yards on the ground, 5 yards a pop to let up here. Jordan James, 115 yards on the ground there. Too many yards for this type of defense here. So I got to give like a D. I was not impressed with the run stop here. There was definitely plays like down at the goal line there. They stood up, they stopped them, forced them to a field goal. Where's the rest of that at? Where was that the rest of the game?
I mean, the fact that they had so many good goal line stands is why I'm giving the run stop a D and not an F, quite frankly. Yep. I think that's what's stopping me from straight up failing them in that respect. Let's see. I see a C, a D, and an F in the chat. F. I will put in the middle you halfway and go D.
Yep. All right. Pass rush, F. I don't even need to explain. Like, do you want to contribute, Jared? Like, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. No rushes, no quarterback hurries, no sacks. Like, felt like Gabriel could tuck himself in bed there. Like he was so comfortable back there.
Yeah, this defensive line has too many recruiting stars to get as little pressure as they do. And this isn't new to this game. This isn't the first time Kyle and I have leveled this criticism against them. This isn't the first season I've leveled this criticism against them. Jack Sawyer and JT are at times amazing, but at times totally disappear. And I understand that this Oregon offensive line is one of the better offensive lines in the country. And I understand that JT showed up at times But he also showed up at times in bad ways. The huge Dylan Gabriel touchdown run was directly his fault. Again, this Oregon offensive line is really, really good. But if you're going to win a national title, you're going to have to face this offensive line probably once, if not twice more.
Yep.
You're going to have to play them in Indianapolis and then again in the playoffs. And by the way, Texas has a really good offensive line too. And so does Alabama. And so does Georgia. And so do other teams who are going to make the playoffs. So it's one thing to say this Alabama offensive line is really good. Okay, but, or excuse me, I said Alabama. It's one thing to say this Oregon offensive line is really good, but okay, but so is Alabama's. So is Georgia's. So is Texas. You're going to have to adjust to that. If you're not going to get there one-on-one, then you need to adjust to that.
Good news, Jared. Good news is that it is October, not end of November right now. So there is time to hopefully clean it up. So we'll see here. Our defensive line deserves the M tier until they can prove otherwise.
Well, this is a report card, not a tier list.
Yeah.
If you want to watch our tier list episodes, tune into the YouTube on Tuesday.
Pass coverage. You want to start, Jared?
Lord. I let me just say, I love Burke and I love Iggy.
Mm-hmm.
They had bad nights. Am I wrong for thinking the linebackers were out of position for a lot of the game? Usually has great linebackers.
Honestly, I didn't think the linebackers played terrible, in all honesty. I mean, there was times when I think there was times, especially on the run, that they didn't stop the run in time, though. But I thought Cody Simon had a pretty good game. I thought Sonny Styles made some great tackles down the stretch there. I don't think the issues were the linebackers themselves.
Why not put Matthews for Burke? Burke is still your best cornerback. I understand he had a bad night, but I don't think you need Burke for the rest of the season. And I think if you pull him, you shatter his confidence.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, he had 2 consecutive drives where he got smashed. But did he have any terrible plays after that? He played a good second half. Like, it all starts up front. I haven't gotten it done once. 100%, Christopher. 100%. It's easy to beat up on Burke. I'm not saying he didn't have a bad game, because Burke did have a bad game. So don't get me wrong. I'm not like trying to totally defend him. But at the same time, the whole idea of leaving a cornerback on an island like that.
When you see him struggling, that's the thing. When as a defensive coordinator, you see your star corner struggling, you need to somehow get him support in other ways.
But at the same time, from a game plan standpoint, if you leave the corner all by himself, that's a risk. But the benefit that's supposed to come with that risk is that it frees up someone to blitz.
Yeah.
So if you leave a corner, I don't care. Go pick your favorite NFL cornerback. Put him on an island against some of these really talented wide receivers. If you give that wide receiver enough time, he'll beat that cornerback. There's a lot of field and one corner. The idea of leaving Burke one-on-one with someone is that the defensive line or linebackers or whoever are supposed to get pressure on the quarterback so that he can't just sit back there and cleanly gun it to the exact right spot on the field. And by the way, it needs to be said, Dylan Gabriel was fucking money this game. Like, his deep balls were on point.
Yeah. We were waiting for a moment when Gabriel was going to throw that costly interception, because he's been doing that recently here, and we thought that he was due for one. And yeah, I mean, hats off to him. He played an outstanding game there.
Dylan Gabriel was everything we thought he would be.
But going back, pass coverage in F, yes.
I'm saying an F, but it's also on the pass rush.
Yes. Tackling, I would say a D. There was a lot of missed tackles. More than what we're accustomed to seeing so far from this team this year. I got
it happens when you
for tackling.
I mean, it happens when you play talented players, right?
It is.
A talented player puts you in position to miss a tackle. That's why they're talented. But yeah, there were a lot of, it wasn't a great performance overall from the defense in general. Mostly one player. There were a lot of tackling issues.
There was a lot. All right. And third downs, Oregon was 6 for 14 on third downs. I would say like a C minus. I'll stay with this. I'll stay with the C. They got off. There was drives where the defense did get them off. Did stop them on third down. I thought the third down stoppage right there at the end there to give Ohio State a chance to go down and kick a game-winning field goal. That put a lot of confidence in me in seeing how this team can grow and improve as the year goes along. As my confidence grew from that third down conversion there. But yeah, I would say a C.
Beat Blue, if you think Oregon tackled perfectly, I don't know if we were watching the same game. I think you just expect Ohio State players to break tackles, and you just expect Ohio State defensive players to make tackles. And therefore, when you don't see that happen, it sticks more in your brain.
Yeah.
Ohio State forced plenty of missed tackles.
Trey forced missed tackles, and Mecca forced a lot of missed tackles. He was on money.
Oregon did not tackle perfectly in that game.
No. All right, special teams. I can't say really anything bad about kicking. Ohio State did really well in kicking, so A for me. Punting.
Yeah, I'm fine doing the A's there.
Yeah.
I
mean, punt.
Don't know what I'm talking about, quite frankly.
Yeah, I still worry about punting. Like the ball's not getting deep enough on some of those punts there. I feel if we get to a situation where Ohio State's in a game where field advantage plays a big factor, Ohio State's going to lose that. It's going to lose that.
You mean like this game?
I think this game was more of which defense is actually going to do something.
Yeah, but it's easier for the defense to do something if Oregon isn't constantly starting on the 40.
Yeah. All right.
So the punting, I think is a huge factor in this game. McGuire's leg isn't very strong, quite frankly.
No, it's not.
Ohio State was constantly giving Oregon the ball at like the 40-yard line. Special teams, special plays, special players. Will Howard, give fielding a chance. I mean, we already talked about Howard on the last play. I don't know if we need to go over it again, but listen, it's you got a real rough pass interference call at the end. You got a really rough pass interference call at the end, and that sucks. By the letter of the law, it was legally offensive pass interference. Do you see that exact play not called 9 out of 10 times? Yeah. Drop snap, off pass interference, fumble, onside kick, and still had a chance. Yeah. I totally agree, Mitchell. And it's Again, number 3 team in their stadium, in their time zone. We recover from this.
Yep.
What do we say to the god of death? We say not today. We recover from this. It's honestly no big deal. It's honestly no big deal. We recover from this.
Yep. And then returning is NA. Nobody had any returning. So we don't
I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it blank.
Okay.
What did you say your punting was, Kyle?
It was a B, like B minus. Just put a B minus for me.
Okay.
Put a B minus.
I don't know if the chat ever said. Also, it's punting. Who cares?
Yep. Team. The team as a whole here.
We will talk about the team as a whole after we do another quick self-promo time. Quick self-promo. We are the Buckeye Sloopcast. If there's a lot of new faces in the chat, in the Bleacher Report chat. We're on the Buckeye Huddle network. You can find us on the Buckeye Huddle YouTube page. You can also find us on our own personal YouTube page, youtube.thesloopcast.com. You can join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. All of these episodes are released as audio versions. You can find those on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, or if you just need a straight up podcast feed, there's rss.thesloopcast.com. If I could tell you to do any one thing, join the Discord server. And if you're looking for any of these links I just rattled off, just visit thesloopcast.com where you'll find all of those links. All right, Kyle. Team. Effort.
It's two sides of a coin here.
Okay.
Offense did really well. The offense did really well. Defense struggled here. But man, there was definitely a lot of good efforts that I saw in the game, especially down at the goal line stance there. Love to see that effort, but
I really don't think effort was the issue here. I think there's a lot of blame to spread around, and I really just don't feel like effort was an issue. Effort on defense brings down to an F. I don't think so. I think you guys are being rough. I think there were game plan issues. I think there were coaching issues. I think there were discipline issues, but I felt like everyone was playing hard. I never thought to myself, these guys don't care. These guys didn't show up. These guys are lazy. I never thought any of that. There were absolutely issues. I don't think that it was due to a lack of effort, though. I'm going to give them an A.
My gut's like C plus. So
that's what the chat is saying too.
Yeah, I'll go with C plus. I'll go with C plus.
I think there's a lot of issues. I don't think effort was the issue. You saw the Ohio State defense with a goal line stand forcing Oregon to kick a field goal at the end of the game. You saw Ohio State driving down the field. And again, if not for the pass interference call, you get a chance at a field goal. There was no lack of effort. There's a lot of things to criticize this team about. This team gave all of the fucks that they had. And sometimes that's all you can ask for them. And I think most of the deficiencies, in my opinion, were coaching deficiencies. Although there were some discipline and some execution issues, which we will get to now. Discipline.
8 penalties for 70 yards. I'd say almost all of those seemed like they were false starts, it seemed like.
Yeah. Listen, the false starts.
They had four false starts.
One of them was on Zen, who never expected to be in the game. I'll give Zen a bit of grace. The other 3, not so much. I thought there were some bad calls personally. I thought, but I don't like to talk about refs too much. That's just not something I like to do. And by the way, like, discipline isn't just penalties. I think a prime example of this is JT chasing down the running back instead of keeping contain on Dylan Gabriel. That's a discipline failure. That's a discipline failure. He wasn't playing his role.
I got to say D-. I'll say D- for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go just D, but I hear you. Although the chat is going straight up F. The chat has no mercy.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I'm not even going to tell them they're wrong. I mean, you gave them a D-. That's literally just one spot above.
All right. Execution.
Oh, my lights just turned off.
Oh, Jared's setting the mood here for the execution.
Well, the
execution.
It's midnight. My lights are set to turn off automatically at midnight. Let me at least get this light up.
I'm going to say C- for execution. I liked what I saw offensively, especially on the passing. Like I said, Will Howard was red hot throwing the ball, 80% against a pretty good Oregon defense here. We knew they were going to have some success here. That's but the rating definitely goes down because of the execution that we saw defensively too. So I'll go with a C- for execution.
Yeah, there were certainly some execution issues, especially on the defense. On the offensive line, I felt like there's some crucial misses. And yeah, I don't know. Execution's a tough one to grade sometimes, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a C, not a C, just a C. But chat generally seems to agree with you with the C-. Beat Blue said D+, but I got a lot of C- after that. Kyle, I think you have a lot of influence over the chat, if I'm being honest. I feel like they match you a lot.
I mean, a lot of the sloop cats over our Discord is Team Kyle. So
well, maybe. There's always that.
All right, overall. All right. Let's.
No need to panic. We will be fine. Yep. We'll learn a lot from this. Good night, all. Hey, thank you for stopping by, CAC. Join the Discord, discord.thesloopcast.com. You seem like an intelligent fan, and we always like to have people like you around.
You go to Eugene, you lose by 1 point. Yeah, it sucks. You lose. But Ohio State didn't lose by 14, by 20 points. 1 point game here.
On the road, 3 hour time zone difference.
On the road,
number 3 team in the country.
I would say, like, overall, it sucks. Yeah, the defense is a big concern and definitely something we're going to keep an eye out for the rest of the season here. But I would say C+. There's a lot to like about what we saw here offensively. Like, Will is a stud. Will Howard is a stud. He's really like what I see from him. Obviously, Mecca, like, great leadership on the receiving core there. Jeremiah Smith does Jeremiah Smith stuff there. And the tight ends, Guy Scott had a great game as well too, and Trevion had a great game too. A lot of great things to take from this here. So I'll say C+. I'll say C+. There's a lot of great things to take from this game.
Christopher Tripp makes a really good comment. I hate it, but quality loss. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is.
I'm like, board with that. Yeah.
By the way, Vegas tells us that home field advantage is worth 2 or 3 points, depending. Let's just say 2 in this case. Hey, that's enough to, as a Duck, you guys are pretty spot on. Thank you, AK Duck. I appreciate that. It's a really good Oregon team. They say, Vegas tells us, home field advantage is worth 2 or 3 points. So if this were a neutral field or in Columbus, by that logic, we would have won. Not saying that that's an exact science or that we can count it as a win by any means, but the point is that these were two very evenly matched teams. And if/when we see them in Indianapolis, we're going to get their ass next time.
There we go. Yep.
Overall, I'm going with a B.
All right. I see C+, C in here. So I think a C is what the chat is saying here. So.
Okay. That's fair.
All right. All right. And that is our grade, our report card for this game.
That's our report card. Night game probably makes it 3. It doesn't help. For sure. When you're the road team, you always want to play at noon. When you're at home, you always want to play at night. This is, man, the fans get plenty of time to get all liquored up before the game and they're extra loud. Yeah.
7, Jared, the number 7. That's how many lead changes there were in this game.
Yeah. Eventually, this is one of those games where eventually the game just ends. Neither team's better. It's just eventually the clock has to run out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We'll get him next time. We're going to see him in Indy. And if we don't see him in Indy, we'll see him in the playoffs and we'll get him next time. But I think we're going to see him in Indy.
Yep.
These are the two best teams in the Big Ten. After watching Penn State play today, I feel really good saying that.
Yep. All right.
I feel really good saying that after watching Penn State play today.
Yeah.
See y'all in Indy, Ducks.
Other than Big Ten teams going westbound seems to struggle. Other than Penn State getting that win, Penn State got that win though. But we'll cover that in our next episode.
But they super underperformed the spread.
Understand.
Penn State is booty. AK Duck, on that we agree. So with a little bit of camaraderie between fan bases, I think it's time to end the show. This is the Bleacher Report version, so I'm just going to jump right to it and say,
I do have
Kyle's Corner. Sorry, forgot about Kyle's Corner.
I do have one bit of bad news here for Buckeye fans here. Ryan Day is talking on with the post-game reports here, and he says, quote, "The injury to Josh Simmons hurts. I'll get an update to Simmons, but it does not look good. It does not look great in terms of him coming back this season."
It looked like an ACL.
This is a big hit for us.
It's huge. I'll say that Zen looked good in the time he had in this game. Or at least I didn't notice him a lot, which is sometimes when you're an offensive lineman, especially left tackle, not being noticed during a live broadcast is sometimes the best thing that someone can say. Okay. That was Kyle's Corner. Yep. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, we're the Sloopcast. Thank you for listening.